For the second and final time in 2023, the ARCA Menards Series drivers are set to head to the State Fair, this time at the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds. The pageantry of this annual event has every driver in the field amped and ready to see who could slide their way to victory in the last dirt race of the season. This is the Southern Illinois 100 from DuQuoin, and it's coming up next on Fox.
The ARCA Menards Series, all the teams are ready.
Long day, have fun. Let's go win this.
Green flag is in the air.
This is a great opportunity for these guys to showcase their talent.
It's so much more intense than I anticipated.
We have trouble, hard contact. We got a big crash. This is a big one.
We did it! Yeah!
I think we're going to see them in victory lane many more times.
I'm so happy.
We are ready to go racing.
Time for some good old-fashioned dirt track racing under the lights. Hello and welcome to the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds for race number 16 of 20 in the 2023 ARCA Menards Series season, the Southern Illinois 100. Hi everyone, I'm Eric Brennan. Absolute pleasure to be with you alongside of Phil Parsons on what is going to be a fun night on a very comfortable evening on the Sunday night portion of the DuQuoin State Fair. The weather here is absolutely perfect, and Phil, it's been a really busy stretch for some of these ARCA Menards Series drivers and teams, and so far at this point in the season, we've had 7 drivers visit victory lane.
Yeah, but this season is really about Jesse Love with 8 wins, you can see, and William Sawalich with 2 wins. That's 10 wins between the 2 of those drivers in our 15 races.
And there's been a lot to talk about, a lot of storylines coming into tonight's race, perhaps one of the biggest, a storied rivalry that spans several years, not just amongst drivers, but amongst race teams as well. Take a look.
Little contact between the top 2 right there.
What did we just see?
He grabbed some quarter panel and is keeping it really tight.
Ty Gibbs, he'll go all the way down to the bottom of the front straightaway, trying to put the block on Corey Heim. Corey Heim on the back bumper, gets into the back of Ty Gibbs off turn number 1.
Corey Heim, Ty Gibbs waging war at Elko. Whoa! Contact between the top 2 in this race. Oh no! Corey Heim boots Ty Gibbs out of the lead. Ty Gibbs has got to be ticked off. Corey Heim will be a winner in the ARCA Menards Series on the short track.
A couple dents in the left rear and the left side door and the left front. That's all from the 18 as well. I think that's pretty much even right there. He's probably mad because he lost like he usually is.
Oh! The leader's wrecked. Drew Dollar gets into the 20 of Corey Heim. They're both wrecked in the infield.
I mean, just typical bonehead move by Drew. Just pure lack of talent. Great kid, does not need to be a race car driver.
They touch! There goes Sammy Smith!
Wow! And Sammy Smith wins the race? Holy Toledo! Jesse Love, he actually takes the window net down. Wow, has to get pulled back.
There was a shot to take it, and I took it. You know, the 18 wrecked the 20 at Kansas, the 18 wrecked the 20 at Pocono, and then the 18, cleaned both of us out. Got 3 punches to R0.
Sawalich is at his bumper, trying to get underneath the 20 car. William Sawalich off of turn 4 with a late move on the final lap, and William Sawalich, the 16-year-old, wins.
It was a little bit more dirty than I wanted to, but it was last lap.
Been raced by the 18 really dirty, and, I'm going to ballpark him every chance I get.
William Sawalich all over Jesse Love. Laps winding down here at Milwaukee. Now there was contact.
There's
right
contact,
there.
without a doubt. More than air.
But will we pay it back here when we get down to the other end of the racetrack?
It's go time. Clears him. Jesse Love tries to take a shot.
Checkered flag will come out for William Sawalich.
Run me hard, but push me out a little bit more for him.
I don't know, just trying to get him out of my way, but I knew I was faster, so it was just a matter of time. When I would get there and pass him, just had to be smart about it.
You know, Eric, it seems like there's a lack of respect, especially among these young drivers, but I don't think it's limited here to the ARCA Menards Series. I think that's the world we live in nowadays. We say that all the way up to the Cup level, whether it's trucks, Xfinity Cup level, we see people moving people out of the way. We didn't do that really back in the day as much, but again, there's so much pressure even on these young drivers to perform. They have manufacturers behind them, sponsors behind them, that they will do that. They will move people out of the way. Jesse Love right now, as you can see, feels like he's maybe a little bit behind in the scorekeeping, and so maybe tonight might be the night that he gets one on his side.
And the good news for all of us race fans, this rivalry will probably continue to layer itself as these drivers move up the racing ranks. We'll be back on the other side of the break for the start of the Southern Illinois 100 here on Fox. Welcome back to the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds. We are moments away from the start of the Southern Illinois 100 for the ARCA Menard Series. We are getting set to see who will be able to lay claim to this last dirt track victory of the season. Before we see the start of the race, let's check back on how we set the lineup. General Tire Pole Award qualifying was held earlier today. The second consecutive race, Joe Gibbs Racing driver William Sawalich laid down the fast time.
Yeah, William was fourth fastest in our only practice session, picked up about a half a second just to barely edge out Will Kimmel for that pole.
It was Sawalich's fifth pole of the season. The last time he accomplished such a feat was at Milwaukee, where he went on to win the race. Let's see what he could do here tonight at DuQuoin. For more late-breaking stories before we go green, let's hear from the third member of our broadcast team, Heather Goodbow. Good evening, Heather.
Well, good evening, Eric. And of course, William Sawalich laid down a fast lap. But one guy I'm keeping my eye on tonight is the number 69 of Will Kimmel, who qualified second. He was only 37th, 1,000th off the pace of the 18 car. And he told me today that he is just so much looking forward to being here at DuQuoin. We normally see him at both the dirt races, but unfortunately he missed Springfield. And he said he was not happy sitting at home and watching that race on his TV. But he has 131 starts here in the ARCA Series, and he has been oh so close to getting a win. So tonight he's looking to just close that deal and get the first victory in his ARCA career. I'm also keeping an eye on the young 15-year-old in that number 25 car, Brent Cruz. He won at Springfield, and tonight we will see if he can sweep the Performance Seed Dirt Double, which means he could take home one of the largest paydays in ARCA history at $34,500. Now, when I talked to him about the pressure of winning that type of money, he said, you know what, money's cool, but I'm just going to treat this like any other race. He also said, money's cool, but winning is cooler. So keep an eye on those two drivers tonight, guys.
Thanks, Heather. What a story that would be for the youngster to bring home that big of a payday. But there are several other drivers in the field who would try to deny him that chance. The Southern Illinois 100 starting grid will be rolling across the bottom portion of your screen. You can pick out where your favorite driver or contender will be starting from as the field continues to navigate their way around this racetrack for their 2 parade and pace laps. Now, Phil, this is a racetrack that's very similar to what we saw a little bit earlier on in the season at Springfield. Let's take a look at our track description for the night.
Yeah, as you can see, 1 mile in length, and if you looked at this racetrack from above, it would look similar to Springfield. The corners are a little bit longer here, and the straightaways a little bit shorter. Flat as can be, in this racetrack opened back in 1946.
Race analysis for this evening is going to be similar to Springfield as well.
Yeah, 100 laps, 100 miles. We're going to have that race break on or around lap number 50. Our last 3 winners here were Ryan Unzicker, Landon Lewis, and Christian Eckes, and this is the 39th time that the ARCA Menard Series will have raced at DuQuoin.
We're going to be on board with several contenders tonight as well. We'll start off with the 10th place qualifier, and that of Frankie Muniz in the 30. He holds our General Tire on board tonight.
We're also going to ride along with Brent Cruz. This is the Performance Seed on board. He will be starting from the 3rd spot in a Yahoo Toyota, going for that big bonus.
And the ARCA Menards Championship points leader, qualified outside of row number 2 and 4th position, Jesse Love will carry our Sioux Chief Fast Track on board, and he will be fun to watch starting on the outside of that 2nd row. As Phil mentioned earlier, he was a winner on the dirt at Springfield just a couple of years ago. It'll be fun to watch for that 4th position as we are a half a lap from the green flag. You see the pace car with the lights out, Phil. The drivers now starting to feel a little bit of that anticipation. The butterflies, the fireworks are going off. It's about ready to be go time.
And this racetrack is in great shape. Remember, the last 2 years here, they had horrible weather. Rain. It actually rained the race out last year. They had to race on Monday. This track looks like to be in great shape. A little bit of a hole developing over it, getting in turn number 3. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
We'll keep our eyes on that for sure. You see the field now approaching the exit of turn number 4 to the group of fans that have come out as part of the DuQuoin State Fair pageantry that makes up this incredible event. The ARCA Menard Series headlining the Sunday night portion of the slate. Field now in the hands of William Sawalich and Will Kimmel as we get set to loop around the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds for 100 laps. The Southern Illinois 100 is underway.
You can see cars struggling for grip already. Look at Jesse Love trying to make a move to the outside of Will Kimmel.
Love trying to work that high side there to move up for that fourth starting position. He got up where we didn't see all that slicked off blue groove, if you will, from qualifying. He's up to third. Now looking outside of his teammate Brent Cruz. Sawalich opens up about a 3-car length lead to 3.
See that red car of Will Kimmel falls back to the 4th spot. Andres Perez, who had his best career finish here at Springfield in the ARCA Menard Series, right now running 5th.
Lap 1 is going to go to Sawalich. Here's Will Kimmel in the 69 on the bottom. We heard Heather mention missed the race at Springfield, said they had to get the car dirt ready for DuQuoin for an opportunity to come out here and get his first career win. He just got back around Love for third as Sawalich tries to extend the gap early.
Remember, on dirt tracks, they actually worked this track in. They had a modified race here before this race, and they put some moisture down on the racetrack, worked it in. It'll take a few laps for these guys to maybe get that second groove, and you see him right against the inside wall now as you see Will Kimmel actually drift a little bit up off the corner. A lot of guys say you can slide up in the center of the corner and kind of square off the exit, drive straighter off the exit. Sometimes that gives you a little lap time.
One of the best part about the ARCA Menard Series on these types of clay tracks is watching the track evolve, and it'll give these drivers different challenges as the night continues to unfold. And that's what we're seeing all throughout the ARCA Menard Series field early on in this race. Will Kimmel back to third. The car sandwiched between he and the race leader right now is that of Brent Cruz, the Springfield winner, who's holding down the second spot for the moment. Now trying to set his sights on the most recent winner in Sawalich, who continues to hold up that top spot on the podium as things stand.
You know, you can run 3 different engines in the ARCA Menard Series. You can run a spec engine built by Ilmor. You can run a spec engine built by the Robert Yates Company, and you can also run what they call a legacy engine, which is an OEM engine. It's a Ford engine, a Chevrolet engine, or a Toyota engine. That's what Will Kimmel is running right now. He's running the Ford engine. You see the 18 car right there. He's running the Yates engine, and the 25 car Brent Cruz is running the Ilmor engine. So we have 3 different engines running in the top 3.
Had a chance to talk to Will Kimmel earlier today, and he said right now they're a crew of 3. His father, of course, Bill Kimmel Jr., also continues to help out, but for the most part, it's Will and 2 other friends that he has helping him get to the racetrack. Even though we missed him at Springfield, he said he was very happy with how that racetrack was prepped, and that incentivized him to get the car dirt ready. They put the dirt nose on the front of it, and they came out here to see if they can grab that elusive first victory. Only other race he has on his card for this year will be Salem, but Will appears to have a very sporty car early in this race.
And what a legacy the Kimmel family has here in the ARCA Menard Series. Will's grandfather, Bill Sr., actually raced against my brother back in the 60s here in the ARCA Series. And then we know what his Uncle Frank has done, a 10-time champion of the series, 80 wins, most of those with Bill, Will's father, as the crew chief. So what a legacy this family has here in the ARCA Menard Series. Would love to see Will get win number 1.
He is currently being hounded by that of Jesse Love, who got a great drive off the second corner and peaks down low. There's that spot on the racetrack that Brent Cruz just about nipped with the left front tire that Phil was talking about earlier. That may be something to keep our eyes on as the laps continue to unfold. That little divot that's starting to develop right about in that second groove. And it appears as though that may continue to be something we'll keep our eyes on as the laps continue to click off.
Yeah, these lap times among the top 4 or 5 are really similar right now. Sawalich opened up a little bit over a second lead, but it's maintained. Brent Cruz has been able to stabilize that lead.
A lot of these drivers looking to utilize lessons learned if they did compete at Springfield just a handful of races ago. However, you look at Jesse Love as he gets good bite on the bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4. He finished 3rd at Springfield and led 36 laps, just faded late after his teammate Brent Cruz got around him. Appears as though he might be looking at that as one that got away and a chance at redemption, and yet maybe a 9th win on the night. Should Love be able to find his way up to the race lead and hold on to it. He is all over the back bumper of Will Kimmel's Ford.
Remember, we're going to have a race break on or around lap number 50. These teams will be able to fill them with fuel, put 4 tires on, and be good to go to the end. Last year we had 2 race breaks, so they've cut that back a little bit this year.
Front four have done a pretty good job separating themselves from the field, as it is all William Sawalich out in front of Brett Crews and Will Kimmel. As we continue on here with the Southern Illinois 100 from Du Quoin here on Fox. ARCA Menards Series Racing on Fox is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. Welcome back to the Du Quoin State Fairgrounds, and as promised, the 18 and 20, we told you that those two would perhaps find each other. Well, Jesse Love has found his way up into second place after getting up to and around Brett Crews during the break, and he has set his sights on William Sawalich and Phil. They've been navigating their way through some lap traffic. Those two cars at the front appear to be a bit evenly matched, maybe even give the edge to Love a little bit.
Yeah, Jesse Love pulled it within just about a half a second of William Sawalich, but then he got a bad break in traffic, had to go around the lap car in the center of the corner, lost a little bit of ground, but he was the fastest car on the racetrack that time, just over a second behind Sawalich. I think we're going to see a battle here before too much longer.
Visibly see the 20 car close up there. In fact, he was almost 3/4 of a second faster than the race leader in Sawalich. The gap is down to 0.6 of a second as they come off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. Sawalich is going to have to try to dig deep to hold off that 20 car.
Right as we were going to the commercial break, we saw Jesse Love pull to the inside of Will Kimmel. That was to take over the 3rd position, and then he made quick work of catching up to Brent Crews, and you see him getting by that Yahoo Toyota number 25 to move him into the 2nd spot.
He may not be done yet as we cut back to the live shot here, and you see that gap is now down to about 3 car lengths. With Love trying to reel in Sawalich. Love appears to be able to hold a bit of a tighter line on corner entry to turn 1. Let's get an update on that 20 car from Heather.
And in listening to the radio, his crew chief Shannon Rush just told Jesse, hey, don't waste any time here. When you get to the lead, make it happen. We want to lead as many laps as possible. We want to lead the most laps in this race as we watch him try to track down the 18.
How about that, Phil? As if he didn't already have the bit between his teeth, seeing who was in front of him. The team is saying, get out there, try to lead the most laps as well. Keep padding that point lead.
He's got enough of a point lead. I'm not sure how much padding he needs to do, but I know these young men want to lead. There's no way that he's content riding here in second, especially behind that 18 car of Sawalich.
Now right in the tire tracks of the 18 cars, they work their way down the backstretch. You see Sawalich there catch that divot in the 3rd turn. We'll be keeping our eyes on here. A little bit of traffic up the road. That's the 66 of John Garrett that they're about to put a lap down, who runs in the 13th position. Garrett, a dirt regular, was really looking forward to this effort. He's going to fall a lap off the leaders here, but both get by the 66 cleanly.
Right along with Jesse Love, this is a Sioux Chief on board. You can hear him pedal the throttle, trying to get purchase to those rear tires.
Love listening to the throttle control of these cars on tracks like this. These drivers are at work all night long, and they will continue to have to hustle for the remaining 80-plus laps as they go around Brad Smith, and Love is right there on Sawalich for the lead.
Thought he might be able to take advantage of the lap car getting in the way of the 18 of Sawalich, but not able to do it that time. Remember, the last time these two cars were together was in Milwaukee, when Sawalich moved Jesse Love out of the lead in the waning laps.
And even though Jesse Love gave a very humble interview as the runner-up to that race, there appeared to be a time late in the closing, we saw it in the montage earlier, where he did try to get to the back bumper of the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 to get the lead back, but he ran out of time. Now he's got a big drive off 4 and looks low for the top spot in turn 1 does Love.
He's going to put Sawalich to the outside, not as much grip on the outside right now. Jesse Love's going to easily take that lead.
Love to the point. With a beautiful pass there on William Sawalich. And Phil, that may be the first chance that we could talk about a potential recent sweep move of the race, with Love making that pass there on the 18 going to 1.
Yeah, that's got to be certainly an early nominee for Jesse Love. He was running 4th, as we mentioned before we went to commercial, and all of a sudden he picked up some pace, got 3rd, 2nd, and now the lead.
Love now on the backside of the Rise Motorsports, number 31 of Brayton Laster, who celebrated a birthday last week. That team put an engine in that very car in North Carolina last night. and they had to hustle their way just to get to the racetrack. They missed practice. They got him out there for qualifying. Unfortunately, Laster is falling a second lap down, but he lets the top 3 go by without incident, as Brett Cruz is now caught William Sawalich for second.
Brett Cruz is on the move now. Laster, remember, had his first career top 10 a couple of races ago at Springfield. Big moment for that young man.
You look at the racing resume that Brent Cruz has been able to garner as we go on board with him fittingly in the performance seed on board. He's trying to win that performance seed dirt double. Cruz is someone who started out in go-karts at a very young age, and he's been one of those drivers, Phil, who has been thrown in every different type of car on every different type of surface. It appears to be paying off for the young man.
Yeah, dirt tracks, asphalt tracks, road courses. Nothing is beneath this young man. The youngest winner ever in the Trans Am TA2 series.
You can hear him work the loud pedal down the main straightaway, trying to get enough traction to get up to Sawalich for this battle for second position, while Love is about 2 seconds, just under 2 seconds, further up the road from what could be this fight for the runner-up position.
You could hear from the onboard, Brett Cruz would actually get completely off the throttle in the center of the corner. 10-time champion Frank Kimmel, and I think a 5-time winner at DuQuoin, said this track almost has a little short shoot in the center of the corner because these corners are so long here.
Cruz now trying to work his way on the outside of the 3 cars. They continue to work their way through some of the lap traffic.
You can really catch lap traffic at the wrong time. If you catch them, it looked like on the exit of the corner, it looks like Brett Cruz lost a lot of ground because he just lost all the grip. You need to come off that corner low. Brett Cruz was going around a lap car, had to come up a little bit higher and lost a good bit of ground.
Love was able to get by Clayton Weatherman. That's the brother of Kyle Weatherman, making his first ARCA Menard Series start in several years. That's the same car that Ken Schrader ran at Springfield a few races ago. Weatherman's hoping to get back on the lead lap. They have high hopes and expectations. He says he hopes this opportunity turns into more chances for he, perhaps with this race team or others.
Yeah, it's been a long time since Clayton Weatherman was able to run one of these ARCA Menards cars. He had a top 10 finish at Salem.
Oh, trouble, turn 2. Sorry, Phil. Sean Corr spins right in front of the front runners.
Wow, what a great job Sean did. Did a 360, got out of the leader's way. See Miller Welding on board that 8 car. Such a good run going at Springfield a couple of races ago. Started from the front row. Unfortunately had a mechanical issue, only ran about 30 laps, but nice save there by Sean in that 360.
Ironic there for Corr, because that looked very similar to a spin that he had off of turn 2 in qualifying as well. Let's learn more about Sean Corr and that 8 car from Heather.
Listening to his radio right now, he just told his team that he got too high and up into the marbles, which, as you said, was basically exactly what he did during qualifying. And on the radio at that time, he said, hey, I was feeling really confident and just got into the gas. So he really has been pushing that 8 car for speed. But you mentioned him having a good run at Springfield. He also wanted to mention that he brought on a new sponsor. The Miller Welders Ford is what he's driving today. And without that sponsor, they would not have been able to race Springfield or DuQuoin. So they're very happy for their contribution to get him in 2 extra races this season. But he loves dirt racing. He told me before that he was jonesing to get back on the dirt because prior to Springfield, it was 2011 since the last time he raced dirt. So even though we've seen him spin a couple times, I'm sure he's having a good time out there.
Indeed, Heather. So we are under the first caution of the race with 28 laps complete. We'll be back for the restart here at the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds for more on Fox. Back here at the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds, and Phil, we talked about how this track is going to undergo some changes throughout the night. We're only 28 laps in, 29 laps in. We've already got a significant change happening over in turn 3.
Yeah, there's a pretty good pothole. We saw it early on in the race, and it certainly gets a little bit worse because naturally it's right where these cars want to be as you enter turn number 3. We're not going to develop a hole where they're not going to be, so most of the teams, you can see it right there. That's a great view, but that's where they put their right side tires as they enter the corner, and it's pretty significant. You can see them driving through there now, but it hasn't caused any issues as far as we haven't seen any spins because of it, so we'll see if it gets any worse.
We could expect to see some other areas of the racetrack develop a similar character as we get set here to re-rack the field and line them up for the restart. William Sawalich led the opening 16 circuits. Jesse Love took the lead away. He'll restart on the bottom in the 20, coming around to complete his 10th lap out front, restarting with 70 to go and about 30 until our first scheduled race break. Here we go as we get set to get back underway. Love and Sawalich lead us back down.
We'll see how Sawalich can fare on the outside. Looks like a huge disadvantage. You see Brent Cruz able to grab that second spot from the inside. Now Perez is trying to grab third.
Andres Perez, who scored his best career finish on the dirt at Springfield, came home a runner-up after qualifying outside of the top 10. Everybody throughout the field trying to find their preferred groove by the time they hit the end of the back straightaway. Perez to third, a couple of cars sliding around there in 3 and 4. And it is Love the leader. Perez now the new runner-up. Sawalich third. Here's the 12 car of Tim Monroe trying to make a move on Christian Rose, while Sawalich tries to make that the third position back in turn 1.
And Will Kimmel, the 69 red car, is going to try to follow Sawalich to grab that 4th spot back. Looks like a huge disadvantage to restart on the outside on these restarts. That's something we'll have to keep our eye on a little bit later on.
Kimmel behind Sawalich, then Perez, the 12 of Tim Monroe, accomplished dirt racer, then Christian Rose in the 6. Oh, we got a car off the pace here on inside of 3 and 4, just about in the racing groove, and Tim Monroe has spun just as we were talking about him running in the 6th spot.
Tim was having a great run. His best career finishes have come right here at DeCoin. 6th and the 7th, his last 2 starts here. Tim runs the full schedule on the East Series. He's in the top 5 in points in that series. Looks like his car will not refire. You see Weatherman also involved. His car will not refire as well. Weatherman could have just stopped and the car not refire.
Ironically, 2 of the cars that are out of the Fast Track Racing stable, as Tim Monroe, who is one of the full-time employees over at the Fast Track team, said he really looked forward to getting a chance to get back on the dirt. He said Springfield's actually considered his home track, but DeCoin is still about 3 hours away from his hometown, and he's typically the hauler driver for Fast Track, helps set up all the cars, and unfortunately he appears to have gone around from a top 10 starting position. And Weatherman appears that he is going to need a push to get back to the pit area.
Yeah, Weatherman, the good news for him, he got the free pass when the caution came out, but unfortunately it looks like he stopped just to avoid his teammate, and the car would not refire, and the pace car came around and lapped him once again.
So second caution of the night. Jesse Love continues to lead. His teammate Brent Cruz running behind. Sawalich third. Want to correct something we said earlier at the start of the restart. The last time through, the race break scheduled to come on or around lap 50. So we'll keep that in mind. We saw one of the cars making some moves is that of Kelly Kovsky, who had to start at the back of the field. Let's get an update on that 16 car from Heather.
And the reasoning why he started in the back of the field was due to unapproved adjustments. So I talked to him right before the race, and he said they changed the left front spring. I asked him, well, why'd you do that? He said, well, here at DeCoin, you really need to be able to apex the corner to get the car turned, and it was just loading too hard on the left front. He said the spring was coil binding up and really shoving the car up the racetrack. So they chose to do risk.
We apologize for that technical difficulty. We'll try to get back with Heather shortly. But Phil Kelly-Kovsky, one of the drivers that we typically always see enter in at the dirt races.
Yeah, 34 career starts. 32 of those have been on the dirt. Kelly-Kovsky and the Allgaiers, Justin Allgaier's family. Justin's dad might go back a long way. You see Brandt, who was Justin Allgaier's sponsor on his Xfinity car most of the time on board this car for Kelly-Kovsky. Kelly actually works with Mike Allgaier, Justin's dad, and gets to play a little bit, gets to run these 2 dirt races, as well as a handful of other modified dirt races.
Finished second in this race back in 2016, 4th at Springfield. We'll see what he can do here tonight. Under caution for the second time tonight here at the DeCoin State Fairgrounds. We'll be back for the restart right after this. just back underway with the Southern Illinois 100 from the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds. And the driver who is about to tick off what would be the most laps led on the night, 17 as he comes back to the line. Jesse Love was able to take the lead back off the restart, and he is ahead of his teammate in Brent Cruz.
I think a little team choreograph there on that restart. Jesse Love started from the outside. We saw how William Sawalich lost a lot of ground the previous restart on the outside, but his teammate Brent Cruz, I'm sure with team orders, let him in, so Jesse Love was able to get back in the lead, and it didn't cost Brent Cruz being on the outside and being in second.
A little bit of cooperation early on. In fact, let's take the opportunity to go back and see how that restart unfolded to get a better look at these two working together after they raced pretty hard at Springfield a couple of races ago. Last time we saw them battle it out for the lead and win on the dirt track.
See, there's Jesse Love on the outside, and again, the 25 of Brent Cruz is just going to ease up enough to let Jesse Love down in front of him. I think that's a great move. Good, smart team play right there.
Phil, would that qualify as a potential sweet move, perhaps?
It may be a sour move. No, it's that would qualify. That's just good. That's maybe a miniature recently.
Love able to hold down the top spot by about a second and a half over Brent Cruz. And how about Andres Perez? This driver racing for what is the defending championship winning team from 2022. With that of Nick Sanchez. He qualified hang out back at Springfield when he got an opportunity to race on dirt for what we believe was the first time, and he's taken a liking to this dirt stuff pretty quickly.
He sure has. You know, we talk about people like Brent Cruz and Jesse Love running other kinds of racing, dirt cars and midgets and things like that, Trans Am for Brent Cruz. Well, how about Andres Perez? He races in Mexico. He races in a different country. Right now, he's 4th in points in the NASCAR Mexico Series, running a full schedule over there.
Remember, he was not old enough to compete in the season opening race at Daytona. He's credited with the last place finish there, but still finds himself second in championship points and has gained 2 spots since qualifying in 5th position to kick off the night's racing action. He's doing a good job fending off pole sitter William Sawalich in what is a fight for the 3rd position. Will Kimmel just behind in the red number 69, rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, Perez has been really impressive. Obviously, we didn't know a whole lot about Perez coming into the season, but has really overachieved and really done a nice job. As you mentioned, this is the championship winning team for Max Siegel, and Andres Perez is doing a fantastic job this year.
They're running a decent pace, not too far off the lap times we've seen out of the leader in Jesse Love, who continues to extend the margin over Brent Cruz at the head of the field.
We talk about that little hole going in turn number 3. There's always also a little one going in turn number 1, but for those of our viewers that watched the race last year from DuQuoin, as much rain as they had, there were holes like that all over the racetrack. As you can take a good look at it right there, as these cars have no choice but to drive through that hole as they enter the corner.
Right in that preferred grooves. There's been a couple different disciplines of cars on the racetrack over the last couple days. Sprint cars, dirt modifieds, and now these big heavy stock cars. As Phil mentioned at the top of the show, the track was treated throughout the weekend and before the start of this race. And sometimes you just can't help what the characteristics are going to be. After wheeling these things around here for 100 times, we're getting closer to what will be the one and only race break, scheduled to come on or around lap 50. It'll be the one and only chance for some of these race teams to make some adjustments, but one car that may not make many adjustments is that 2 of Andres Perez. He's just about caught Brent Cruz for the 2nd spot, lost a little bit of ground off 2 as they got around one of the lap cars.
Yeah, it continues to be impressive in that 2 car for Andres Perez. You know, one thing about it, the fact that we're running this race at night, that will bring a little more moisture in the air. Racetracks like dirt tracks like moisture. And you can see during the caution flags, these drivers will drive up next to the outside wall trying to get some moisture on those tires and cool off their tires a little bit. These racetracks like moisture, not too much moisture, but a little bit of moisture because there's grip in that moisture.
We were talking earlier, Phil, about catching traffic at the wrong spot. We saw there Perez did not necessarily have that preferred groove going in the first corner, going around Brayton Laster in turn number 1. And that appeared to cost him a lot of time against that of Brent Cruz, and he's now falling back into the clutches of Sawalich in what continues to be that battle for 3rd position.
Yeah, right now, Jesse Love, our leader's opened up a 4.5-second lead over Brent Cruz. Remember, $20,000 on the line for Brent Cruz should he be able to win this race by virtue of the fact that he won Springfield. But they're also, if he doesn't do the double, then they're also going to award $15,000 to the top 3 finishers of their average between the 2 races. So there's going to be at least $15,000 given out tonight.
If Cruz doesn't win this race, there's going to be a little bit of arithmetic that has to be done in order to figure out who's going home with some extra money in the pocket. As we see this battle continuing to tighten up, and again, that race break scheduled to come right about lap 50. Might see a little bit of damage to that front splitter area on the right side of the 18 of Sawalich, just below the right front headlight. I think I noticed a little bit of a kink there on the bottom fascia of that car. Maybe he caught one of those bumps at a bad spot. It may have buckled that front end up just a little bit.
That's exactly what it looks like. I have not seen him make any contact with any other of his competitors, but if he hit that hole just at the wrong way, just like right there, that certainly could do that to that front valence.
Not slowing him down too much as he continues to maintain pace with the 2 cars. Jesse Love continues to rack up the laps led. Instruction came from the team, try to lead the most laps and get another victory. Love so far is delivering on that expectation as Sawalich gets right up to the backside of Andres Perez for 3rd as they come off turn 2.
I've been watching these lap times. These cars have continued to run really good lap times within a half a second probably of our pole winning speed today. So the racetrack is in great shape. Regardless of the little holes that we have going in the corners, the racetrack surface is in really nice shape.
That time we saw Perez get a little bit hesitant getting into turn 3. The back end of the car got a little bit tail happy. Here comes Sawalich with a run. They're going to work their way to the outside of Club, the lap car in the first corner. This may be our best battle all the way to the break. Look at Perez hanging out the right rear.
You can see those guys struggle a little bit when they have to put the right side tires up in the dust, they call it.
That's going to pull Will Kimmel into this battle for a top 4 spot. He looks down low to the inside. Almost into the back. He is into the back of Sawalich. And Sean Hagnerani, haven't talked about him all night in the Venerini 15. He's in 6th joining this 3-car fight.
Yeah, not a lot of dirt experience for Sean Hagnerani. He's only 16 years old. And he's learned. He spent his first 50 laps learning a little bit about it as he looks like he's going to spin.
Hagnerani with a big slide there in turns 1 and 2. 2 cars are able to get by cleanly, and the caution will fly with 49 laps complete. We knew the race break was on the horizon. Hagnerani may have drawn it 1 lap too soon, and this will be the race break. Hagnerani fortunate not to get hit by any of the cars that were trying to come by.
And he also stays on the lead lap, so good move getting that car refired and turned around.
3rd caution of the race. And again, this one will coincide as the scheduled race break right at the halfway point. Let's take a look at what happened to Hagnerani, 3rd car in your frame.
Yeah, we watched him close in on Will Kimmel just a little bit too hard into the corner and got the right side tires a little bit into the dust, and around he went.
Kelly Koski and Alex Club, the 2 cars, they were able to get by without contact, and Hagnerani's able to continue on. As Phil mentioned, Hagnerani, one of the drivers who does not have a learning experience from Springfield to go off of. This is his first go-around here on the dirt side, at least as far as ARCA is concerned. So a learning experience, and one he'll be able to at least transfer on to the second half of this race after he was able to continue on. And he's currently being scored in the 11th position before these cars come down for their allotted time to have the opportunity to work on their vehicles and size us up for the finish. Championship points leader Jesse Love. He's led the most laps tonight. We're in our halfway race break. We'll be back for more from the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds in just a moment. While since we saw a driver sweep both dirt races in a season. Parker Kligerman 14 years ago, back in 2009. Brent Cruz is trying to be the first driver to do that in quite some time.
Yeah, and Parker Kligerman had no experience on dirt, and he comes and sweeps it during the season. But Brent Cruz, he has a lot of experience on dirt. You can see them making some changes. Actually, looks like maybe a little bit loose, putting a little bit of Looks like a little track bar down for Brent Crews, and he's the guy right now that can win $20,000. He won Springfield. If he can win DeCoin, if nobody wins both races, if Brent Crews doesn't win this race, then the top 3 drivers with the best average finish will earn bonuses of $7,500, $5,000, and $2,500. So at least $15,000 is going to be given away here by Performance Seed, and that young man right there could win $20,000 and go along with a race purse of about $14,500. That would be a $34,500 payday, which would probably rival maybe one of the biggest paydays ever in the history of the ARCA series. So there's a lot on the line here.
And I'm sure that while many other members of the ARCA Menard Series field would love for Crews to not win and spread that money about those top 3 average finishers, Brent Crews wants to take the money all for himself.
100%.
All the way for the second youngest driver to ever win an ARCA Menard Series event for that of Brent Crews. And as you can see, the teams are hard at work here for their one and only shot to try to set their cars up for the final run to the finish. Here at the DeCoin State Fairgrounds, the second half of the Southern Illinois 100 is coming up next on Fox. We'll be back for more.
When I'm not racing, gardening gives me a chance to reflect and get some much-needed peace and quiet. My plants remind me to be patient and that sometimes going slow is okay. But outside the greenhouse, fast is more fun. For me, General Tire delivers.
Back at the DeCoin State Fairgrounds, many of the teams finishing up their allotted amount of time during this one and only race break before we get set to get back underway with the Southern Illinois 100. Let's take a look at our Bounty Rookie Spotlight for the night. We've talked about this driver a couple times, moving up a few positions, and that would be Andres Perez in the Rev Racing number 2 car.
Yeah, Andres has really done a nice job this year. Again, as you mentioned earlier, he was too young to race at Daytona. His first race this year was Phoenix. He had a top 5 there. Then he went to Talladega on the 2.66 mile super speedway, had another top 5. Just been really, really impressive, and maybe most impressive when he went to the dirt with no experience at Springfield, and his best career finish of runner-up there, as you can see right there. Average finish better than a top 10.
And he has certainly had a lot of pace so far tonight, so third may not be the highest that we see that 2 car get to before this race concludes about 49 laps from now. Well, we talked about that crater over there that was starting to develop in turn number 3, and it looks as though, Phil, at this point, it may not get any better. At least none of the divots around this racetrack are going to get any better. They may have been able to adjust the cars. They're not going to be able to adjust the racetrack.
Yeah, it doesn't look appreciably better. I mean, certainly we saw at the very start of the race that there was a bit of a hole there, and it may have gotten a little bit better, but the guys have been able to negotiate it quite well. The lap times, again, are just almost as fast as what we've seen in qualifying. So it depends now on what kind of adjustments these teams have made. The only time they're going to be able to come and put tires on these cars and put fuel in them. As you can see, the lights are off on the pace car. We're going to get a restart. Jesse Love is going to take the outside. Again, I'm assuming there's going to be team orders as well for Brent Crews to soft pedal enough to let Jesse Love drive down into turn 1 in front of him. That'll keep Brent Crews from starting on the outside and possibly losing that spot to those guys on the inside right now, Andres Perez in the 2.
We saw a lot of work being done as far as chassis adjustments on the number 25 of Brent Crews. He said he wants more drive off the corner, and Heather DeBow chimed in saying that the report from the driver, the number 20, Jesse Love, do not loosen me up. He appears to be very happy with the way in which that car is handling. Just felt they were scraping the valence a little bit, but they're not sure that it's worth it to try to render any type of repair or remedy for that condition, as that car has been lights out quick throughout the first half of this race. The teammates, as Phil mentioned, are going to line up on the front row. Race leader Jesse Love and ARCA Menard Series points leader in the 20 on the outside, and Brent Crews vying for that Performance Seed Dirt Double in the number 25 to the inside. Here we go, 47 laps to settle the Southern Illinois 100 from DeCoin. Jesse Love brings them down for the restart. We're back underway.
Watch him drive down in front of Brent Crews. Nice choreographed move there. You see Good battles back side by side for fourth right now. Sawalich gets hung on the outside. He may lose a spot to Will Kimmel.
Kimmel on the bottom, and that red number 69 moving up to fourth. Sawalich back to fifth. Kelly Kopsky in the 16. Frankie Muniz in the 30. Haven't talked much about Frankie tonight. He's starting to make some passes as well, fresh off the restart.
Another one of those drivers with very little dirt track experience, but Frankie's done a nice job. He was seventh prior to the restart. Looked like Kelly Kopsky was able to get by him. Move Kelly now up to sixth. Frankie Muniz still in seventh spot. You see him right against that inside wall there. Talk about a learning curve for somebody that's never been on dirt. Frankie doesn't have a great deal of racing experience that we've documented this year in the ARCA series, but really doing a super job. Third in points coming into this race, piling up the top 10s. Had a great top 5 finish at Michigan earlier this year.
Frankie said he wants to apply all the lessons learned from Springfield here tonight. He's doing a great job right now in the 7th spot, looking for what could be his second top 5 finish of the season if he can gain a few more.
How about Will Kimmel now, Eric, up to the 3rd spot in that red number 69 car.
Maybe that race break and those few adjustments was exactly what that car needed to start climbing back up towards at least where he started. Started outside of the front row to that of Kimmel. He's not only up to 3rd, he's closing on Brent Cruz for what could be a fight for 2nd in a few laps time.
A lot of experience on dirt for Will Kimmel, especially here at DuQuoin. Ooh, spin!
Sean Corr. Oh, and Frankie Muniz and Sean Hagnerani pound the wall. 4th caution of the night, and this is the first with significant contact. And just as we were singing the praises of Frankie Muniz, who was running in the top 10, he, Hagnerani, and Sean Corr get wadded up in turn 3.
Yeah, all 3 of these cars were battling right inside the top 10, if not top 10, top 11 on the lead lap. You see Hagnerani able to drive away. See Frankie get his car refired. He's going to be able to drive away as well.
Muniz is going to be able to drive away. Here's what happened. Hagnerani on the bottom of Sean Corr. That's your initial contact. Hagnerani got himself a 2-for-1 there as he went off in the corner. Got the 8 and slid up into the 30 as well.
Yeah, I think Hagnerani tried to get inside the 8 car. There wasn't enough room. Sean Corr was going to take the line against the inside wall. Unfortunately, they ran out of room. A lot of damage to Muniz's car.
Muniz with significant damage. They'll try to get it repaired. We'll step aside. We'll be back with the Southern Illinois 100 in a few. Tomorrow night on FS1, Adley Rutschman and the Orioles continue their fight for the AL East crown as they take on the Angels. It all begins tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on FS1. Hard to believe, Phil, we're a month out from playoff baseball.
I know it.
And a month away from the end of the ARCA season. This year's flying by.
Sure is. What a schedule it's been for these ARCA competitors. Tough break, though, for Frankie Muniz.
4th caution of the race for a multi-car incident in turn number 3. Let's take one more look at how it all unfolded. As Phil mentioned, a heartbreaker for Muniz, who's running up in the top 10 at the time of the incident, with Sean Corr in the 8 and Sean Hagnerani in the 15 as they got tied together.
Sean Corr trying to make his way by the 30 of Frankie Muniz. Hagnerani tried to get to the inside of Sean Corr. Sean Corr was going to drive the bottom of the racetrack. Bit of a late dive down there by Hagnerani. Took all 3 of them out into the outside wall.
So far, all 3 of them remain on the pit lane. They're working diligently to try to get the 8 car repaired. Word down trackside from Heather may be that the 15 of Hagnerani and the 30 of Muniz may very well be done for the night. As you see, the lights are out atop the pace car. We're going to get set to come back to the restart. Last couple of times we've seen the leader and Jesse Love in a 20 and Brent Cruz in a 25 restart like this. There's been a collaboration amongst the 2 to get single file to turn 1. 40 laps to go from DuQuoin.
And we're going to see it again, Brent. We're going to see it each time. I just think it's really smart racing.
Will Kimmel trying to get to the inside of Andres Perez to make that bottom lane work for 3rd.
Perez is going to try to hang tough on the outside. You see Kelly Kopsky, the 16, on the outside as well. Will Kimmel has that 3rd spot for now. Sawalich is going to move to the inside of Perez to take over the 4th spot.
We said it time and time again, Phil, all night long. That bottom lane has been preferred, and Perez is kind of trapped up there on the top side. Now way high in four is Perez.
Really, really dusty out there. He's going to lose 2 more spots. Christian Rose, the 32, goes by, as well as Tim Monroe, or Tim's going to try to get by. Tim is on the preferred line right now. You see Perez again get that right side tires up in that dust and lose more ground.
All that work for Perez, who was running as high as 3rd in this race. He's now going to have to regroup and try to do it all over again, with the laps going by quite quickly as he falls all the way down to 8th position. They'll have to try to pick him off one at a time.
How about Kelly Kofsky? We saw a glimpse of him in that 16 car now as we continue to watch Christian Rose. Haven't talked a lot about Christian Rose tonight, but really doing a super job. Christian Rose has been in the top 12 his last 12 races here in the series, and headed for another one now. But Tim Monroe is going to move to the inside to try to take that spot.
How about Tim Monroe battling back from the spin as he was involved in one of our early cautions on the night. Tim looks forward to these dirt races each and every year. His best career finishes came on the dirt tracks. They were here, 7th and 6th respectively. And he may be challenging for what could be another career best here on the night, as he is holding off Perez for the moment, move Monroe to 7th.
Really nice job by Tim Monroe. Driver for Andy Hillenberg, Fast Track Racing. See Perez going to try to make the move on him. Passes are going to have to be done on the bottom of the racetrack. He needs to try to get a little bit of a run going and try to move to the inside and let that other car know you're there. Take position on the bottom of the racetrack like Perez did. Great move by Andres Perez.
Monroe is now going to actually fall back to the 7th spot as Perez was able to get up to and by him for the 6th position. So Perez, after getting drop kicked to the bottom portion of the top 10, has worked his way back up to 6th. Next car off the road is going to be Kelly Kofsky, about a second ahead in the 16. Perez will try to dig deep and see if he can get himself back up into the top 5 as we inch closer to the final third of this race.
It's a shame Perez lost all that ground on the outside on that restart. Back up to the 6th spot, you see Kelly Kofsky right there in front of him, the 16 and 5th.
Since that race break, this 69 car of Will Kimmel has been stout. Again, starting to close up on Brent Cruz in what will be a battle for 2nd. Remember, Will Kimmel wasn't too far off the General Tire pole lap that was laid down by Sawalich in qualifying. And it appears as though, Phil, whatever adjustments they made on that car, it's working for him.
Yeah, Will was the fastest car in practice. He did that really early on when the session started and backed it up with a great qualifying effort. Now he's all over the back of Cruz.
Cruz trying to hang on to that 2nd spot. About 1.5 seconds in arrears of Jesse Love, who continues to lead this race. You see Kimmel able to keep those left sides almost up against the guardrail as he goes into turn 1.
I was told by some of the drivers there's a bit of a trick. You can really get with that left side right next to the guardrail. Maybe most of the cars are running a little bit off that guardrail, but if you can get down there and get some of that dust and slide it across the racetrack, it messes up the competitors behind you. Let's see if Will can mount a challenge on Brent Cruz.
I love watching these drivers, especially later in these dirt races, just throw the car down to the corner, as it looked like Will Kimmel was doing, getting into 1 that time.
That last lap for Jesse Love, a 35 flat, only about 0.4 of a second off his pole winning speed. So this racetrack has maintained its pace the entire evening.
One of the big things that the competition could hope for could be lap traffic, as Love has just caught up to the tail end of some of the cars. The 48 of Brad Smith and the 31 of Brayton Laster.
Bad break right there for the 69 of Will Kimmel, having to go around Brad Smith to the outside, but Brent Cruz was having to go around the 03 of Club as well.
It's going to put a little bit of separation amongst that fight for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. All going on about 3 seconds ahead of Kelly Kofsky, who rounds out the top 5. And Jesse Love just continues to be on cruise control. He's led the most laps in this race so far. Only other driver to lead a lap tonight was the pole sitter, William Sawalich, who had 16 circuits out front. And as Heather DeBoe told us during the break, they didn't want to make too many radical adjustments to this car, and we can see why. That last lap, Phil, down in the 34s for Jesse Love. He is flying.
Pretty torrid pace for Jesse Love. Remember, Brent Crews and Will Kimmel both had to go around a lap car, and they lost about a half a second to Brent Crews that lap.
Love continues to be out front of this field by about 2 seconds as we hit 30 laps to go. He's coming up on the back of Alex Clubb, who's currently running in the 9th position. We've seen a couple of opportunities for Reese's sweet move of the race. Don't forget, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, you can head on over to the ARCA Menard Series Facebook and Twitter pages at ARCA_Racing to vote on what you think was today's sweet move of the race, presented by Reese's.
Saw how much ground that Will Kimmel will lose now having to go around that lap car. Remember, he was right on the back bumper of Brent Crews. Now he finds himself about 10 car lengths behind.
Right now, the racing groove appears to be so specific and narrow to the bottom side of the racetrack that any time a lead lap car catches a car that may not be on a similar pace, it could cost them a lot on the stopwatch. And it's allowing some of these intervals to kind of ebb and flow as the laps click off, with Kimmel now trying to regroup and reel Crews back in.
Yeah, Brent Crews was the fastest car that last lap, of half a second faster than Jesse Love. Remember, Jesse Love had a lap car to negotiate.
See the Indiana native there, and Will Kimmel, we touched on several times, did not appear at the Springfield Mile for the dirt race that took place a couple of rounds ago, but the intention is for them to come out here and put on the best performance possible and then shift their focus to Salem, Indiana. It's the home track for Will and his family. And then we'll see what they have in store for 2024, with Will still trying to do everything possible to grab that elusive first victory, finishing second 3 times in his ARCA Menard Series career.
They're doing an outstanding job here. Bill and Will and that Kimmel race team. Very impressive run here, right now running 3rd.
Continue to watch this battle size up for the 2nd spot. Andres Perez, after losing several positions early in the going on the last restart, has worked his way back up into the top 5. Just got around Kelly Kofsky a couple of laps ago. Perez now possibly, with the pace we've seen out of that 2 car, not just tonight, but in both dirt races this season, may need to enlist the help of a yellow in order to try to get any more positions the way things are running. He's about 5 seconds off William Sawalich for what would be 4th.
You see Will Kimmel just a little bit quicker than our leader that last lap. Will 2.7 seconds behind. A caution flag would make a huge difference for these competitors. Will Kimmel would be able to line up on the inside row number 2 if the caution were to come out now, by virtue of his 3rd place running position.
3/4 of the way through this race, 25 laps to go. What has been a pretty entertaining Southern Illinois 100 from the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds. Jesse Love out in front. He has led the most laps of this race. Best battle on the track here for 2nd, with Will Kimmel again charging on Brent Crews, who may get held up a little bit by the lap car on the bottom. Here's the fight for 2nd as Kimmel slides up almost into the left rear of Crews, trying to get around Brayton Laster, and now it's Kimmel with a slide.
Yeah, unbelievable. Will Kimmel was going to try to take advantage of Brent Crews going around that car. Thought there might have been enough room. There wasn't. Then he paid the price on exit.
Well, how about the 25 holding Will Kimmel off there? Maybe that's a Reese's Sweet Move nominee before the night is over. Kind of used the 31 as a pick there to retain that 2nd spot.
Remember, we talk about the performance seed bonus. $20,000 for Brent Crews if he's able to win this race. But the average finish for the competitors, if he's not able to win both races, and right now we're being told that Brent Crews would win the tiebreaker over Jesse Love if he were to finish like they're running right now. Brent Crews would have a 1st and a 2nd, as well as Jesse Love a 2nd and a 1st.
not a bad first few races in your ARCA Menard Series career for that of Brent Crews, who, as we mentioned, by virtue of the victory at Springfield, became the second youngest ever ARCA Menard Series winner. And trying to grab another victory here tonight. Unfortunately, he's 1 spot short and 3 seconds back on Jesse Love. And even though Will Kimmel has seemingly been a tick faster last time around, Crews and Kimmel were the 2 fastest cars on the racetrack. In fact, Will continues to maintain a steady pace compared to all the front runners. We'll see if he has anything left in the tank for what will be a final dash run to the finish line. Jesse Love looking for win number 9 on the season. His first on the dirt in a couple of years. He continues to lead here at Des Moines. ARCA Menard Series Racing on Fox is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers the freedom to explore. And by Reese's. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. Coming around to 15 laps to go, and Jesse Love, after qualifying 4th, worked his way up to the race lead on the 17th lap of this race and has not looked back, despite the competition taking the opportunity at lap 50 to make adjustments on their race cars. The common denominator has been the 20 at the head of this field, and he's got to hold on for 15 more circuits to bank yet another win and extend the championship points lead.
We saw that shot from his onboard, how hard he's working on this dirt track inside that car. Fast laps though, lap after lap. There's second, there's third. Brent Crews, the 25 in second. The red 69 of Will Kimmel right now running third. We talked about this performance seed bonus. If Will Kimmel was able to get by Brent Crews, then that would break the tie. Jesse Love actually would get the first place bonus of $7,500. So he's pulling for Will Kimmel right now.
And Will has constantly been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, but every time he seems to get within about 5 or 6 car lengths of the 25, something may happen, whether it be lap traffic or getting thrown off his line a little bit as they both attack the bump that has developed there in turn 3.
Yeah, I've not seen one driver really try to avoid that bump. So it must not be much of an issue for these competitors.
You see Kimmel there, his pace is right up there, if not better than the leader. That's been pretty consistent for the most part. Again, that margin could kind of teeter-totter either way based on where some lap traffic may be, as there's still about 4 seconds, Crews and Kimmel that is, off of the back bumper of Jesse Love.
So Walsh now has fallen almost 12 seconds behind in the 4th position. I was looking at the results, and since Phoenix, when he got wrecked out of the lead, 5th is his worst finish in all the ARCA Menard Series races that he has run, and that was Springfield, the other race on the dirt.
See Sawalich won the General Tire Pole Award earlier on this afternoon. Led the opening 16 laps of this race. Fell down the running order just a little bit. Now currently scored in the 4th position, kind of in a league of his own. Good bit back from the fight for the 2nd spot between Crews and Kimmel, who runs 3rd. Now just Perez is about 3 seconds behind him. The problem for Sawalich is that Perez has actually been a tick quicker each and every lap. So this 4th position may not remain uncontested should this race stay green to the finish, because Perez is starting to show a lot of pace himself, and he is closing.
Especially if Sawalich would catch a bad break with a lap car, you can lose almost a half a second, maybe even more, by catching a lap car at the wrong time. So he's going to have a lap car as he comes down the backstretch. He may be able to clear that lap car by the time he gets to turn 3. There's Perez running in the 5th spot. Another solid effort for Perez. Good last lap for Perez. He was the fastest car on the racetrack that lap.
The last time we got a glimpse at the front end of Sawalich, it looked as though there might be a little bit more bodywork damage on the right front fender of that number 18 car. And we're starting to see, even on this end of the racetrack, a few more divots develop. You see it right there as Perez swings to the outside of it in the middle of turns 1 and 2. there's some more character developing throughout this racetrack, if we can call it that. And these drivers have to kind of be on their mind their manners, if you will. As we got a caution. Just as we saw Sawalich kind of hop his way through one of the bumps, Tim Monroe has his second problem of the night. He was running up in the 8th spot.
Tim was able to get the car refired, but he was certainly in a precarious position. ARC officials had to throw the caution flag. Tim still right now runs in the top 10.
Judging by some of the tire tracks, it looks as though that car may have done a couple of loops around off the 4th corner, but this is certainly going to change the complexity of this race. And Phil, it was mentioned in the drivers' meeting. In fact, it was mentioned way earlier in the week in some of the crew chief handouts that went out to the race teams that if we were to have a caution within the final 10 laps, officials decided well in advance that the restarts would be single file. So that teamwork that we saw out of the Venerini cars all up to this point, it's going to be null and void for this restart.
Yeah, and I'm not sure with inside of 10 laps to go there were going to be any team orders anyway. So I think it's a great opportunity for Brent Crews being able to start right behind the 20 of Jesse Love. Jesse Love obviously has had the strongest car on average tonight, but you never know what might happen on a late restart, especially single file. And you see Will Kimmel, he's going to line up right behind that 25 of Brent Crews as well in 3rd.
Phil, typically on a pavement track or an asphalt track, we see a caution come out. Normally we see drivers stay right in the groove because they don't want to go up and collect marbles or get any dirt on their tires. On a dirt track, it seems completely different. Why is that?
They look for moisture. Remember we talked earlier that moisture is grip on these dirt tracks, and those drivers are, number one, either trying to cool their tires off in a little bit more moisture and maybe even get some moisture and carry it down in the groove. So situation now, these drivers are trying to get all they got, whatever they can do to cool off those tires for these last handful of laps. But another good run by Christian Rose right now in the 7th spot. He is the lead car 1 lap down. If the caution were to come out again, he would get to free pass, but still a solid effort for Christian Rose.
Finished 12th at Springfield. They battled overheating problems early in the race there. And even though he is 1 lap off the leader as things stand, Rose still having a great night and has been able to keep himself out of trouble and that car clean up to this point in the race. As we see the cars continue to circulate here under what is our 5th caution of the night. Jesse Love has been the dominant car thus far, but this is going to pull his teammate up to his back bumper. And we see the boss man at Venerini Motorsports watching on.
What were they, 97 wins for Venturini Motorsports across the ARCA platform on that drive for 100?
Yeah, they've been pretty stellar, and I'm sure Big Bill would love to see his cars finish right where they are. Curious if he would like to see Brent Crews bring home that $20,000 bonus should he be able to seal the deal himself in terms of winning the race. But as you mentioned, there's still some cash on the line for Crews, and really both cars, if that matters, should we have to fall back on average finish in the last 2 races. And how about Will Kimmel in 3rd, trying to play the role of the spoiler? And what a Cinderella story it would be. We mentioned how big and synonymous the Venerini name is in ARCA Menard Series competition. The Kimmel family and their racing resume also carries a lot of weight as far as the history and legacy of this series. And Will is ready to write his own chapter if he could find a way around both the cars that have been in front of him for most of the night.
As you can see, Will, 131 starts. His best finish was 2nd, and he's done that 3 times on 3 completely different kind of racetracks. Right here at DuQuoin, on the half-mile, high-banked half-mile at Salem, Indiana, and also at the 2.5-mile triangle at Pocono. So a very versatile driver. Has battled issues with financing over the years, but whenever they show up at the racetrack, Will and his father Bill, they're there to race.
He's got a chance to try to win this race from 3rd position. Half a lap away from the restart. Jesse Love, the championship points leader, has led the most laps tonight. He'll be coming around to lead his 75th circuit when we get the green flag. Brent Crews, we mentioned what's on the line as far as the Performance Seat Dirt Double $20,000 bonus. Will Kimmel trying to grab his first career ARCA Menard Series win. Sawalich the pole sitter 4th. Nandres Perez was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack at the time of that yellow. He will round out our top 5 for this restart.
As you mentioned, single file restart going to be a little bit different for Jesse Love.
5 laps left to decide the Southern Illinois 100 from DuQuoin. Jesse Love and Brent Crews locked together as they hit the restart zone. We are back underway. Love quickly protects the bottom, single file to turn 1.
Nice restart by Jesse Love, but he cannot shake Brent Crews. Will Kimmel right there as well.
Crews got a good drive off turn 2, not enough to draw even with Love for the top spot at the moment. Remember, these two battled for the lead late in the going at Springfield. Crews got the edge that day. What's going to happen tonight?
So easy, the drivers tell me, to overdrive these corners. You drive into the corner a little bit too hard, and you slide up off the bottom of the racetrack, and you could be in serious trouble.
So far, Jesse Love has been able to perfect the art of that restart. The lead over Brent Crews, about 0.3 of a second. Kimmel trying to dig deep. Crews really sideways off of turn 2. And another caution flag. 6th time tonight we have seen the yellow flag, and unfortunately half of them have involved the 12 car of Tim Monroe.
The 12 of Tim Monroe and the 32 of Christian Rose were battling for the 7th position. Not sure if there was any contact or not. We're going to have to do it all over again.
It's going to push us into overtime territory. I mean, these drivers are going to have less time than they did when they took their restart with 5 laps to go to try to make anything happen. So the chances of things getting physical, even amongst teammates, Phil, we've seen that a couple of times this season. Even drivers who are fielded out of the same shop, a lot of them doing what they think they have to do in order to bring home a trophy, and tonight might not be an exception to that.
And it goes back to the very top of the show when we were talking about that's the world we live in now. The world about winning at all costs and moving teammates out of the way or moving other competitors out of the way.
Well, Jesse Love has had an incredible season so far, and that is why he is our Suchi Fast Track Driver of the Night. Phil, we mentioned current ARCA Menard Series points leader, and his wins this season have all come on different disciplines of racetracks.
Yeah, obviously trying to maybe equal the record or break the record of the modern era number of wins. 12 by Tim Steele is the record in the modern era. A couple years ago, Ty Gibbs was able to win 10 races. Jesse could hold on. This would be 9 with 4 to go. Nonetheless, amazing season for Jesse Love, and he's certainly on the fast track. We saw him jump in Corey Heim's truck at Gateway earlier this year when Corey had a little bit of an illness. Finished in the top 10 there. A couple more truck races. Actually, next week at Kansas, he's scheduled to run the truck for Tricon Garage, and also the end of the year at Phoenix.
Think of the tracks that Jesse Love has won on: the Super Speedway at Talladega, Intermediates at Charlotte and Kansas, Short Track at Elko, picked up the road course win at Watkins Glen, throw a few more in there, now trying to win one on the dirt. We are about to complete our 99th schedule lap. So per the ARCA Menard Series rulebook, if they could finish at the advertised distance, they will try to do so. This is going to be a 1-lap sprint to the finish. But remember, unlimited attempts at overtime. If we have another yellow, we'll line them back up and do it all over again. The time is now. Jesse Love looking for win number 9. Brent Crews looking for win number 2. And the Performance C Dirt Double Bonus, Will Kimmel looking for his first win ever. Here we go to settle the Southern Illinois 100 from DuQuoin. Green and white are out.
Good restart by Jesse Love. Just don't overdrive this corner. Look at Perez trying to move to the inside of Sawalich.
Perez underneath the pole sitter Sawalich, who's sideways off the corner. Jesse Love a half a lap away from victory. Through the bump in turn 3 for the final time. Brent Crews is going to come up 1 spot shy of that Performance C Dirt Double. He gave it all he had in the final corner, but Jesse Love wins his 9th race of 2023, and he does so on the dirt at DuQuoin.
How about crew chief Shannon Rush? 9th win in 16 races for this team.
A season to remember for sure. And even though Brent Crews came up one spot shy of laying claim to the sole ownership of the Performance Seat Dirt Double bonus of $20,000, he will end the night with the first place running in the average finish department, if you will. He'll take home an extra $7,500 to he and his race team.
Jesse Love will take home second in that bonus for $5,000 to add to his total. Pretty good night for Venturini Motorsports.
And judging by the way in which Jesse Love enjoyed that cool-down lap, this one appears to mean a lot to him. Love is going to be celebrating this victory in a big way in front of the crowd who has come out here to the DuQuoin State Fair. 80 laps led on the night, including the final one to the checkers. Love's going to burn down the house, and we'll be right back to hear from him.
This is where racer meets machine. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! This is the NHRA.
The U.S. Nationals, Indianapolis, Monday on FS1 and Fox.
Welcome back here to the Southern Illinois 100. Let's check out our Race's Sweet Move of the Race nominees here tonight, starting off with the move for the lead that came early as Jesse Love overtook William Sawalich for the top spot. Never looked back.
Move number 2, these are teammates working together. You see the 20 on the inside, the 25 also right behind him. Teammates work together all night long between Jesse Love and Brent Crews to hold on to one and first and second spot.
And this right here, the pick set up by Brent Crews as they went around Brayton Laster in the 31. Will Kimmel had a full head of steam, and that move to fend off the challenge for second spot is what netted Brent Crews an extra $7,500 courtesy of the Performance Seed Dirt Double by virtue of having the best average finish amongst the two dirt races. Don't forget, starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, you can vote for tonight's Reese's Sweet Move of the Race. Go to the ARCA Menard Series X page at ARCA_racing to vote for your favorite move of the 3 nominees. Well, Jesse Love and team are down in victory lane celebrating after they had one get away from them in the late going at Milwaukee. Came out here and waxed the field in dominating fashion, fending off the challenge in what was a late charge at the finish and a one-lap sprint and a shootout. As they continue their celebration, we will step aside for just a moment, and we'll be back with more as victory lane ceremonies continue for Jesse Love and company here at the DuQuoin State Fair. Back here at the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds as Jesse Love and team continue to celebrate yet another trip to victory lane on the ARCA Menard season. As we take a look at our unofficial results, Love, Crews, Kimmel, your podium finishers. But Phil, a lot of drivers and a lot of teams having really good runs that were well needed for them and their organizations amongst that top 10.
Yeah, another top 5 for Andres Perez on the dirt. William Sawalich, again, another top 5 for him as well. Kelly Kofsky continues to impress. Ran 4th at Springfield. His only 2 starts of the year, 6th here. Christian Rose, another top 10 finish. Tim Monroe, 3 races in a row here at DuQuoin. He has top 10 finishes. Alex Clubb with a great 9th place finish. And Brayton Laster goes back-to-back Springfield and DuQuoin with top 10s.
He's going to be collecting some more dirt, will that of Brayton Laster. How about Brad Smith? That team ran the whole race, comes home at 11th spot. Frankie Muniz, when we saw the crash that he was involved with Sean Hagnerani, we thought he was done for the night. They got that car back out to pick up a few more spots, thinking about the championship. Sean Corr was involved in that mess as well, ended up in 13th. Hagnerani did retire from the contact, 14th. John Garrett retired early as well. We saw Clayton Weatherman, his first race back in several years, 16th. Dallas Frew in 17th, and A.J. Moyer rounds out our 18-car field on what was quite the night here at the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds, with the fireworks continuing to go off. And the team's now turning their attention to the next race. After 16 races, Jesse Love extends the championship points lead by virtue of his victory. Andres Perez holds on to that second place position for now in championship points. Muniz had a bit of a setback, but that battle for second may continue down this final stretch for sure.
Yeah, and a battle for third now. Christian Rose has moved to within 8 points of Frankie Muniz in that battle for third. John Garrett rounding out our top 5.
Well, unfortunately for all of us here, due to some technical difficulties, we are not going to be able to hear from our race winner, Jesse Love, or some of the front-running finishes. But the good news is we don't have to wait much longer for the next ARCA Menard Series race. Next Friday, Fox is the place to be. We've got action from Kansas all around with Truck Series qualifying, ARCA Menard Series racing, and then, of course, comes Saturday, Truck Race Day and the Truck Series race at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Check your local listings all across our Fox networks as our coverage continues on throughout the latter portion of 2023. It was an amazing night for Jesse Love and company. Back to victory lane they go as all competitors slide their way around this 1-mile oval for 100 laps of excitement. There was contact, conflict, carnage, but dominance out of the 20 team as he was able to extend the championship point lead by grabbing yet another checkered flag on the season. On behalf of everybody with our dedicated and hardworking production team, Phil Parsons and Heather DeBow, I'm Eric Brennan. It's been an absolute blast. We'll see you next time with ARCA Racing on Fox.